Welcome to Replenish the Atmosphere of Discovery, where we discover the Master's plan for our lives. Today's session is the power of persistence. The power of persistence. This is our 78th session. Okay, so persistence is the ability to remain actively steadfast in spite of circumstances. Okay, so whether you are remaining steadfast in your purpose, on your job, in your career, in your faith, in your family, or in your relationships, you are courageously remaining active towards an expected end. The power of persistence is your capacity, your ability, your authority to influence every one of those areas to produce solutions, not hope, solutions. Okay. The power of persistence doesn't produce hope, right? You must be past hope to be persistent. Does that make sense? Persistence is faith's child. You don't have persistence without having faith, right? You must believe that there is an expected end, not still hoping that something is going to happen, or you won't have enough to persist into, right? So some of the characteristics of persistence are shameless, right? You're not ashamed, okay? You're courageous, you're bold, you're firm, you're unrelenting, you're determined, you're faithful, right? And you're also optimistic. Okay, so those are some of the characteristics of persistence. You won't become persistent in a positive way, right? With a pessimist mentality. So if you're always expecting bad stuff to happen, you're expecting the worst possible outcome, you won't endure anything because you're already expecting failure, right? If failure is always your expected end, you will start seeing failure for everyone else too, right? So that means that you can be persistent both negatively and positively. Persistence is not just a positive thing, right? You can be persistently negative, right? Negative persistence is nagging, bullying, right? This is persistence, but it's negative, right? Self-sabotaging. Negative persistence is also insanity. Negative persistence is always making fear-based decisions, right? That's negative persistence. And negative persistence produces anger, it produces rage, depression, unbelief, pressure. It also produces death physically, mentally, emotionally, right? Spiritually, and even financially, right? Positive persistence, that is working the vision, right? Making the plans, removing distractions, intentionally studying and obtaining knowledge, right? Making decisions instead of ignoring those things that need you to take action. That's positive persistence. Okay. And positive persistence produces skill, right? It produces solutions. It produces open doors, supernatural faith, right? Positive persistence produces answered prayers. Okay. Endurance and determination can be both negative and positive, right? You can endure in the wrong direction with the wrong people in the wrong place. Okay. You can also be determined and stubborn about the very thing that will kill, steal, and destroy you and the people connected to you. So you can endure for the wrong reason with the wrong people at the wrong places, right? Faith can also be negative or positive, right? Faith produces fruit. Whatever you put your faith in will become pregnant and birth out something, okay? Faith produces fruit. You can have faith in fear or in people that don't have your best interests, but you are intimidated or manipulated by them. Guess what's coming out, right? Baby fear, baby rejection, baby intimidation, baby manipulation, baby anxiety, baby insecurity, baby pride, baby whatever you put your faith in, it will produce fruit. Okay. You put your faith in people, that mean you know good. You're going to produce more people in your life, that mean you know good. Okay. They will reproduce. So check all of your alignments, all of your relationships, all of your agreements. What are they producing? And that's how you know what their faith is in, right? And that's also how you know what your faith is in. What is being produced? Faith produces fruit, okay? So the power that persistence builds up will tear down years of resistance and unrelenting opposition and make you still push towards an expected end. Okay. You see resistance as a challenge and opposition as a step on your way up. That's the power of persistence. Okay. Persistent works past what you know and who you know, right? You keep asking, you keep seeking, you keep knocking because you're waiting on that expected end, right? You're waiting for the vision to come to pass. You're waiting for the dream to manifest, right? You're waiting for the answer to be revealed. That's the expected end, right? And you're going to keep asking, you're going to keep seeking, you're going to keep knocking until you get results, right? Persistence influences you to be bold without shame. Persistence influences you to be bold without shame. Not that you're ignoring the shame that you may feel, right? But it simply is no longer there. And sometimes we can feel embarrassed or shameful for how many times we've asked, right? Or how many people have already said no, right? But we overlook it. No, I'm not talking about overcoming a fear of embarrassment. I'm talking about persistence, giving you the power to not even be embarrassed about it, right? Persistence has a boldness that swallows up the shame and the embarrassment and replaces it with confidence and determination, right? So we're not ignoring the feelings that we feel. We're allowing persistence to give us that boldness to transfer, right? To eat up all of that shame and embarrassment and replace that with confidence and determination. So let's make sure that what we are persistent about is in alignment with what was written about us. Okay. Otherwise, it's just going to be stubbornness, disobedience, and rebellion, right? What you are persistent about, it has to be in alignment with what was already written about you, right? Otherwise, what you're doing is rebelling, being disobedient, and being stubborn, right? If we are going in the opposite direction, that's where your anger and depression is coming from. That's where your loss of hope is coming from. That's where your pressure is coming from because you are not in alignment. Okay. When we lack faithfulness to the right people, the right places, and the right ideas, we more than likely are being faithful to the wrong people, the wrong places, and the wrong ideas. Okay. When we lack faithfulness to the right people, the right places, even the right position, right? And the right ideas, then more than likely you are being faithful to the wrong people in the wrong places. You're in the wrong position and you're remaining faithful to the wrong idea. Okay. And this happens because we get distracted, right? Somebody show us something shiny, right? They show us a thing that looked good, but it wasn't God, right? Persistent unfaithfulness causes God to stretch his hand out and touch you. And who wants to move God against them, right? If his words can create our world, how much more will his hand do on us, right? So if you look at your family, if you look at your neighborhood, if you look at your nation, is there a lot of distracted people going in the opposite direction? If that's what's happening, this can be the reason for famine, for pestilence, for barrenness in the bloodline, in the community, and in the nation, right? A bunch of distracted people going in the wrong direction, okay? But persistence has the power to overthrow unfaithfulness. right? It punishes disobedience and procrastination. That's what persistent does. That's what it has the power to do. Okay. Persistence is not impulsive, but it does take risks, right? Those risks, though, they're rooted in a vision. Okay. They're not rooted in another purpose that places you in the wrong direction or places you in the wrong place. So you can't go blindly buying up stuff for something you have no vision or end goal for, right? When something is revealed to you, you plan towards it and you do the steps to obtain that completion. If you wake up one day and you had a dream that you owned a donut shop, okay, unless you are told to empty your account, you need to grab a pen and paper and start writing down all that is required to own a donut shop. During that writing period, you may get more insight, right? You write that down as well. Then you start your research. If you're going in the right direction, you should be getting more insight as you go. Okay. Once you get stuck and you stop hearing or you stop seeing anything else, stop and wait, right, as you complete the plans, still moving while you wait. So all of that writing you're doing, all of that planning, all of that research you're writing, you're getting more insight on what to do next, what to do next, what to do next, right? Oftentimes, we will stop moving forward even though there are still plans undone, right? Things not researched, right? People not spoken to. Those are things that you can be doing while you wait. And what happens is we get so end goal focused that we're not doing the things that were already planned to do. Like he's already told you what to do up until this point, and you're wanting to get to the end to see what the end gonna be before you've completed the plans that were already written. I hope that's making sense. Okay. There are still plans undone. There are still things you haven't researched, and there's still people you haven't talked to. You haven't even called any of the buildings to see how much the rent is per month. You haven't even called them to see if they're going to do the build out for you, right? These are things you could be doing while you wait for the next instruction. Alignment and direction are important with destiny and purpose. Very important. You're not going in the opposite direction. Okay. When distractions pop up, you may find yourself suddenly confused, right, about the direction you're heading because you're distracted, because you let some other people get in your ear, because you let somebody else's problems get in the middle of the direction that you were going, right? That can be the cause of lack of insight. God is waiting for you to realign before you place that persistence in the wrong direction. Okay. So we don't focus on comfortability and persistence. The end goal, the big picture, that is the focus, not how comfortable you feel, not, oh, I feel sad. Okay, you can feel sad and still research, right? You can feel sad and still make phone calls. Okay. When you push past your comfort and their comfort, you've entered a capacity where your desires are met. Okay. When you walk in this power, there are multiple doors that open to you, good and bad, right? Good and God, multiple doors that open for you. You only want to go through the God doors, all right? The good doors may not be in the opposite direction like the bad doors, but that pit stop could cost you time and resources, right? So we can do a lot of good things, but that pit stop can cause us time and resources. Okay. So you want to get to a place of persistence where you're past what feels comfortable to you and past what is comfortable to everyone else and pushing past their comfort and yours. What does that mean? That means you're not ashamed to make those uncomfortable requests. That means you're not ashamed to ask one more time, right? You're not ashamed to ask another question to the point that other people become uncomfortable with your persistence, right? They might tell you, you're always talking about that, right? You're still thinking about that. How many times you gonna go there? How many times you gonna drive by that place? How many times are you gonna check? People ask you these questions when you are a persistent person, right? Don't be swayed by that, right? If you're going in the right direction, keep seeking, keep knocking, keep looking. Your persistence also rights the wrongs and injustices against you. So it's not just for you, but also for other people that may be in your position. Okay. This is not to use the power of persistence for human revenge. Okay. You're not pushing and pushing for your own revenge, but for divine justice and retribution. Okay. You're letting God take on the vengeance, right? The power of persistence brings recognition, insight, and influence to issues that would otherwise remain hidden personally, spiritually, in society, and even in the world. Okay, so the power of persistence brings that influence and that recognition to these issues. Okay, don't try to carry out a personal vendetta against people, right? Or you will end up invoking the result of the negative persistence, which is death, which is anger, rage, depression, unbelief, right? So those dreams you have, keep talking about it. Past your comfort, past their comfort, right? Until it reaches the right person. That prayer, keep expecting it. Past your comfort, past their comfort. Okay, that problem or that issue you may have. Keep seeing it conquered, past your comfort, past their comfort. Okay, you need to have the vision, the revelation, the expected end in mind, right? You need to make sure that your persistence is not in the wrong direction, that your faith is not in the wrong place, right? The power of persistence produces solutions and favorable outcomes, right? It opens doors, it redeems, it justifies, it vindicates, it gives relief, right? If you keep quitting, you create chaos because there's a lot of unfinished things that lives in your subconscious emotions. So your mind won't be at rest because it hasn't completed something or it hasn't made something whole. And it's a cycle, right? The same way you complete a thought or you finish eating and it has to come out, right? It's a cycle. When you don't complete your thought and when what you ate does not come out, when what you feel is not processed, what happens? Chaos. In order to be balanced and at peace, it needs to come to an end, to completion. Okay. And so you have a lot of tormented souls with a lot of things that haven't been completed. They didn't resolve their abandonment and rejection issues. It's still open. It's still in a file in their mind. It's still in a file in their heart, in their spirit, right? So that's what's in their mind and emotions all throughout life until they complete it, until they process it, right? So when I talk about persistence, bringing solutions and not hope, that's what I mean. We give up too easily because of opposition, right? Because it's not comfortable. But it needs to be more important that you get to the solution than to let your feelings keep stopping you and stopping the process, right? Get to the expected end the cycle, complete the process. So it's not still festering as an open document, right? In your mind, right? In order to make the decision to persist, you need to find out what may be affecting your will, your focus, your belief, okay? Your willpower or lack of willpower makes your decisions. This is how whatever you agree to or believe in starts controlling your soul, your emotions, and then it starts controlling your actions and directing your life, right? You agree to what you believe. You believe what you agree to, okay? Some form or fashion. You can try to convince yourself that I don't agree with this, but if you're doing it, you believe it. Okay. Your willpower is connected to your mind, even though it originates in your soul. Your will is connected to your mind because it requires mental energy to survive. Okay. Which means you being stressed or overwhelmed depletes it. Right? If you ever found yourself something you would normally say no to because you were stressed out, you said yes. That's what happened. Right? So some of you cannot persist or endure anything because you don't have the mental energy to. That depletion causes you to give in to tempting things like temporary pleasures, right? Quitting, losing focus, right? You don't see the end goal anymore. You don't see the expected end anymore. So you quit. It causes you to look for those quick fixes that temporarily blinds you to the fact that you have unfinished business, that you have unprocessed emotions, right? That you have unfulfilled purposes. Those quick fixes, that's what they do. They distract you. And because you complete something quickly, right? You don't see the stuff that you've not finished, that you've not processed, right? That you have not fulfilled. When you become stressed out, when you come under a lot of stress and under a lot of pressure, you dealing with pressure, that's session 69. So go back to session 69 to learn about pressure, right? When you come under a lot of pressure, when you lack self-discipline and you lack self-control, it affects your mental energy levels, right? You need mental energy. You need even mental energy to make sure your spirit is fed, right? So when we take the time out to self-care, it should result in more mental energy, right? More regulated emotions. You should be more balanced. Your persistence should increase if you're doing self-care right. If it's not, then you're just a soft-skinned, good-looking, good-feeling, unbalanced, unmotivated, procrastinating mess, right? Your self-care should not just be taking care of your physical body and you're still not balanced, you're still not motivated, right? But you look good, but you keep procrastinating, so you're still not fulfilling your purpose. Your emotions are all over the place. You can't regulate your emotions, but you look good, but you feel good physically on the outside. I guarantee you the inside, what's going on in your organs is not good, right? Your self-care should include things that increase your mental energy, that builds your spirit, right? And that doesn't take a bunch of hours. You can just start with 5 to 10 minutes of purposeful meditation, right? To decrease your stress and to get rid of those subconscious energy wasters, okay? These are some energy wasters. Letting other people having power over your emotions. That's an energy waster, right? And this looks like this. You made me angry. You made me say that. You made me feel that. That's an energy waster. When you allow other people to have power over your emotions. Low confidence or value. It takes energy to constantly put yourself down and stay there. That's an energy waster. That's taking your mental energy. Okay? Proving yourself to be right. You have to be right. That wastes time and energy. Move on. You don't have to be right. Okay? Protect your energy. Trying to remember everything instead of making a list or writing stuff down. That's wasting energy. We have tablets, we have phones now that take notes. You can be wasting energy trying to remember everything that you could just write down. Okay? Distractions, energy waster. You spent 50 hours over here and it's not doing anything towards your purpose. It's not benefiting society as a whole, but you spent 50 hours over there, right? Those distractions are energy waste. Some people have been distracted for 10 years. They're energy wasters. Another energy waster, focusing on things you cannot control at all. Like there's nothing you can do about it. That wastes mental energy and it causes stress. And stress affects not just your emotions and your mind, it also affects your physical body. Okay. Mental blocks or fogginess, unbalanced diets, lack of adequate sleep, lack of motivation, and bad moods are the result of low mental energy, and they also drain what you have left. Okay. This is what's taking a lot of y'all's persistence. This is why you can't stick to something because you don't even have the energy to do it. Right? You cannot be persistent or productive when your mind is empty, when your spirit is empty, when your soul has holes that aren't filled, if your soul have wounds that aren't mended and healed. You won't be productive and you won't be persistent. You got to get that stuff together, right? Your faith, your faith is an act of your will, right? If you lack willpower, you will lack faith, right? And if you lack faith, you lack persistence, right? You won't endure something you don't believe in. You're not going to stay there and endure it unless you believe something about it, right? What you will to do is based on what you believe. If you direct your will into the wrong place, the wrong idea, the wrong people, then that's where you will place your faith. Okay? In the wrong places, in the wrong idea, and the wrong people. So if you lack the willpower with session 48. If you lack willpower, go to session 48. Okay? If you lack willpower, right? This is the drive to restrain yourself or to push yourself. Ask yourself this: what are you wasting your mental energy on? What is draining your spirit? Right? You need your will because it is what drives your persistence. Okay? It pushes you to succeed, to finish, to not give up, your willpower. Okay? So, what do you do to fill your spirit and to fill your mind back up? Are you giving in to temptations that don't benefit you? Right? Are you giving in to the things that causes the chemicals in your brain to assist you in sabotaging your growth and blocking your forward movements? Right? The power to persist is birthed by faith and driven by your will. The power to persist is birthed by faith and driven by your will. You need mental energy, a spirit filled with the right nourishment, and emotional discipline so that you're not driven by the wrong emotion, right? Do not be persistent in the wrong things. Do not be persistent in the wrong things. It has the power to influence, the power to build up and tear down, and to produce solutions. You don't want to be producing the wrong solution, right? We want what is built up to be for our created purpose and what is torn down to be what is needed to be torn down. We want the solutions to be beneficial and not self-sabotaging, right? So it matters whether our persistence is giving power to the right things. So stop sitting on the solution. Stop sitting on the skills. Stop sitting on the gifts. Stop procrastinating. Persist boldly, unashamed, right? Past your comfort, past their comfort. This is the power of persistence, okay? Get rid of all of those energy wasters, all those things that take your energy and drain you so that you don't even have the desire to endure anything. You don't even have the strength physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, right? To keep pushing forward. You can't even see past like the next 5 minutes. You won't persist. So I wanted you to know the power of persistence, right? Definitely goes along with the power of your presence. Okay? Because you can be somewhere you're supposed to be around the right people and no energy to persist. Right? So you still won't accomplish what you need to accomplish. Well, hopefully that brought up something that you all need to be persistent about and to understand the power of persistence. Like, I can even say me having the beauty salon, that wasn't God's plan, right? But I was persistent and I believed. But the thing was, when he said that that season was over, that season was over. And it was heartbreaking, but he replaces that with purpose, right? And what it is that he's called us to. So even in that, I can't be sad about that. I've touched many lives by doing hair, and even the faith that it took to get the salon, that's a testimony in itself. Learning more about business and all of that and how to manage different people, it helped me for what I'm doing now, right? Because you kind of become a therapist, okay? Because people feel that they can tell you anything because you don't really know anything. Well, I had quite a few family members, but whatever was said in that chair was in that chair. Okay. And so God used that, right? Me speaking over people's heads to me speaking over people's heads still. Okay. So it still was a learning experience. It still was an example of faith, and the persistence of me saying at 7 years old that I was going to have a beauty salon. It happened, right? And it was for a certain period of time because I couldn't stay there because I'm a persistent person, right? So if I would have stayed there, I would have been persistent in growing the business instead of persistent in growing the kingdom of God, instead of persistent in seeing people healed, delivered, and set free mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, right? So I was persistent, but at that point, I was persistent toward the wrong thing. And so God had to shift it, and I had to be willing to let that go, take what I've learned, and then apply it to what I'm actually purposed to do. And it helped, right? So he was gracious enough to give me that period of giving me what I wanted, but I couldn't keep that because it would lead me away from my created purpose, right? Because I'm a super focused person, and I'm persistent, right? And so my goal already was, hey, I need to get another salon on the east side. I need to start making these products and all this stuff. That was my goal, right? And it was going to happen. That's in the wrong direction. It's a good thing. It's a good thing to be prosperous, right? But it wasn't the God thing. And so I say that with everything, even with like jobs and stuff, you can be persistent in getting a job and you get the job and you do really well, but something in you just don't feel satisfied. Oh, it's a good thing. You got a raise, but it's not the God thing. Same thing in relationships. You could be in a relationship with someone or whatever, or a friendship with someone, and it's a good thing, but it's not a God thing. And you want to get to the God thing. And so you take like T said, you can take in that moment, embrace it, learn something, and take it to the next thing. Because when you get to the God thing, it is so fulfilling. It's worth way more than money. Um, just your peace in it, knowing that, I'm doing what I was created to do. Just that peace in that, you can't pay for it. You cannot pay for it. And so in everything, make sure your persistence is in the right direction. Whatever it is you're persistent about, whether it's your mindset, maybe it's a certain way you think, make sure it's in the right direction. Even the way you think about people, right? Make sure it's in the right direction. The places that you go to, the ideas that you have, because sometimes that persistence can turn into strongholds, right? And the enemy can use that persistence and the way that you think and your mindset to build a whole bunch of stuff up that don't need to be built up, right? And so I hope that you all learn something today. I hope that you take something that you learned today and apply it to your life, share it with somebody. I hope you all are blessed and have a wonderful weekend.